The Early Weigh-In podcast is back. This Saturday, UFC 312 going down in Sydney, Australia. 2 title fights up for grabs. First one, Zhang Weili taking on Tatiana Suarez. Told you that's one of the best fights they could have made in this year. Super pumped for that. Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, too, for the middleweight championship there. Excited to dig into these 13 fights with you, man. As always, we're going to recap last week. Had a pretty solid night at 6.24 units there. I went 3 for 4 on my straight picks, hitting Imavov, Vinicius Oliveira, and Bogdangrad. Small loss on Mara Buena Silva. And then a parlay with Naimov and the under 1.5 and the McKinney Demir Hastovich fight. And then also doubled down on the Bogdangrad fight, hit a doesn't go the distance there. So another 6-unit night for me. It's 2 of the 3 fight cards so far that I've hit 6 units. So starting off much better than it finished last year. Looking to keep that rolling. Throw it over to you to recap and get into the pay-per-view, man.
Yeah, so a little bit different on my side right here. I felt like my reads were on. We talked about this earlier, but, it happens. A little bit of variance. I was on Michael Page for a little bit. He got me a unit. Had my biggest bet of the night was on Mike Davis, who – it sucks to make excuses, but I don't think any amount of tape study or, anything would have prepared me for him pulling guard twice in the first minute, I was also on Bogdangrad for 2 units at plus money, and that one was a good one. Jamal Pogues, yet another one where if I get that one, it's a positive night. One judge had it 30-27, so is what it is.
As I saw it.
Yeah, I mean – yeah, I had 2 toss-up rounds, I'm not going to lie, but it still felt like you could have given one of those to Pogues, and then there was a clear Pogues round. So is what it is. Mara Bueno Silva, scorecards, no action. That was another big bet, but she's a tough girl, knew she was. There were a couple of times where she tried to lock in a submission that kind of threatened, but push right there. McKinney wins by sub round 1, got him in the positions that I wanted him to, just didn't get the sub in there. And then Nurmagomedov wins by decision. Went to decision, but, just not Nurmagomedov's night. Not a Nurmagomedov year, to be honest with you. Let's see. Starting off the night in the flyweight division, Hyun Sung Park and they've shortened his name even on Tapology. So hold on. Naim Jargal Tumen Dimbaral.
That's clean.
That wasn't bad, right?
That's clean.
So this one's kind of tough, man. I'm on the Hyun Sung Park, but I do understand why people are looking to bet Naim Jargal. Ha-Seong Park, if he doesn't get the takedown, I do think that he's in for a pretty tough fight. Naim Jargal does have an issue with giving up takedowns. He's done it in the road to UFC, and then Carlos Hernandez, I think, got him down 4 times. Yeah. If this is on the feet, though, Naim is very powerful, and he does have the opportunity to finish. But I think Park is a little bit more proven. I think that this fight probably hits the overs. And I have to lean Hyun Sung Park here, but it's not with a lot of conviction and probably won't be a fight that I'm looking to bet.
Yeah, I'm on the Park side as well. Not extremely confident in it. You talking about the overs kind of makes me weary of me kind of liking the unders a little bit here. Park, I kind of think does a little bit everything better, but doesn't have near the hardware of Tumen Dimbaral there. But I think Hyun Sung Park's been hurt on the feet plenty of times, and I think Tumen Dimbaral can crack him. And I also think Park's a little bit better grappler and can find himself in dominant positions as well. Both of them finished all of his wins for Tumen Dimbaral, and 8 of the 9 wins have been by finish for Park. So it's a little bit of juice. It's flyweights. You kind of like an over. Couple red flags. Might just stay away myself there. Moving on up, 155, Quillen Salkill taking on Anshul Jubilee. One thing interesting to note was, Jubilee was a massive favorite to a guy who had UFC fights, and now he's a massive underdog to a guy who's making his UFC debut, and massive market movement there. But I kind of, I don't want to say the price is warranted, but I do think Salkill should be the justified favorite here. I think he'll put a pace on Jubilee just much quicker than Mike Breeden did. I like the pace that Salkill fights at. I like his body work. I just feel like he's got the much better tools here. I think he's a better striker. I think he's a better grappler. Again, I like the cardio, and I don't think Jubilee offers too much to deter the pace. He's a pretty good technical guy, but just not a lot of power behind it. So I think Salkid probably comes forward and breaks him just a little bit quicker than Mike Breeden did.
Yeah, I would have expected Jubilee to kind of switch up camps after taking his first loss in the UFC, but he did not. He is still in India, and I do not think he's getting the looks that he needs to be able to get better in the UFC. Quillen is athletic, but raw. Like I really don't think that he's that great as far as his like wrestling potential, like what he's getting. Yeah, his wrestling potential, or even his striking. It's just a little green, and I do think that Jubilee is the type of fighter where that's going to be enough to get the job done. But just knowing that he isn't the most technical fighter makes me not want to bet him against somebody in Jubilee who has at least shown like a somewhat functional jab. And, if he can find his flow state and bring the fight to the pace that he likes, I think that he could find a rhythm where he keeps him at bay for 15 minutes and gets an upset, which is enough for me to just lay off the fight completely. Quillen is going to be the pick. I think he gets it done early. I know Jubilee's a vegan, which I hate for a fighter, dude. I really do. I just don't think that that's the quality diet to be, being able to perform at a high level like this. So everything points to laying off Eileen Quillen. Yeah. Moving up to the 170-pound division, Kevin Jousset taking on Jonathan Milkalev. Kevin Jousset, black belt in judo. He's a tough dude to take down. I am not convinced that Milkalev has the wrestling to consistently take him down. And I think that Jousset, this is a decent fight for him to come back after just taking an L. I do think that he is primed to get a decision here. I think that he keeps the fight standing, pokes at him. He is he from? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like most French dudes do. Yes. I know he's from City Kickboxing, but these French strikers, they all perform a similar way. And I think Jousset's about to put on that type of performance on Saturday.
I don't know how much I can really add to it, man. I kind of think the same thing. I think Mikaleef is pretty reliant on being able to get these takedowns here if he's going to have any success, and I don't really think he has success getting Kevin Jousset down. I feel like Kevin's a much better striker, got the UFC experience, and while I might not do it slightly over minus 200, minus 240, it's not a bad parlay leg. I kind of feel confident Kevin Jousset gets the job done. It's just kind of like you said, the French kickboxers, not a lot of finishing upside. You don't like to lay a ton of juice on them. He is the pick for me. Moving back down to men's 155, Cody Steele taking on Rong Zhu. I think I'm going to bet Rong Zhu. I'm being patient. I'm eyeing. I know it's plus 200 right now, and I think I'm going to bet him for a unit here. One of these guys has got 31 professional fights. The other one's got 7. And the one with 31 professional fights is 5 years younger. He's been training at City Kickboxing. He's not having to make any type of travel. Pretty good cardio. He's the way better striker here. And I do think he's going to give up takedowns here. Like Cody Steele is a good grappler. And for what he's shown, he has pretty decent cardio. But making a UFC debut, making a long travel weight cut, I don't know, man. I just for someone to be a minus 250 favorite, I'd like them to have their opponent covered in way more places. And I think Rong Zhu has absolute advantages here. So give me Rong Zhu plus 200, probably going to be the first official bet on the card.
So a little bit of disagreement here. I see it the other way. I kind of like Cody Steele's chances at just a consistent wrestling was going to break down Rong Zhu. Even early, I think he's going to be strong enough that he can kind of expose some submission opportunities. And I'm looking to capitalize on him by submission plus 380. That's how Rong Zhu loses. And I think that there are clear advantages for Cody Steele. Cody Steele's been grappling guys like Gregory Rodriguez and Ronaldo Sozo Jr., who's also a middleweight. These are big dudes that he's hanging in there with for 15 minutes. And I think he might have his way here against Rong Zhu, who's shown us some holes in his grappling. So plus 380 is a good enough number for me. At least I'm not having to lay minus 2 whatever on Cody Steele. And I do think that that's his best path to victory. Now, could he, wrestle fuck him for 15 minutes? Highly possible, but I think that there'll be some finishing opportunities for him. And so give me Cody Steele here at a decent price tag, at least at a different way to attack this than betting a juice debutante. Moving down to the bantamweight division, Alexandre Topuria taking on Colby Thickness. I feel like a lot of people are quick to crap on Topuria, think that he hasn't earned his way here. I watched some of his tape, and since he's come back off of that big layoff, I mean, he looks in great shape. He looks just as physically dominant as his brother. Now, if he, whether or not he has like that fully rounded game is kind of still yet to be determined, but he looks serviceable, man. And up here against Colby Thickness, 7-0 himself, regional guy. I watched some of his highlights. Looks like he also likes a power double leg. He likes a big overhand right to a power double leg. I think that will equate to a stand-up fight where both of these guys are just willing to trade. They've got fight ins by knockout at -115. It might be better on FanDuel, but I tend to agree with them. Like, I think that this fight is a knockout, probably from Topuria's side, but Topuria's knockout prop is like +110. So just give me either of these guys to hit a overhand right, not go to the ground, and just bang it out on the feet.
I think if Colby's able to get any type of grappling going and he's able to extend this fight, he becomes a little bit more live. But I kind of think Alexandre Topuria is the better grappler for sure. Definitely the more powerful grappler, more submission upside, especially early in this fight. And I do think he's a way better striker. I think he could potentially have target practice early in this fight on Colby. So I'm on the Topuria side. I actually kind of looked at Topuria inside the distance around -190 as a leg to a parlay. I kind of feel like I think he's going to get the job done inside the distance, and I feel pretty good about that. Moving down to the women's strawweight. Yeah, go ahead.
+110 fight ins by KO on FanDuel. That's probably where I'm going to lie on this one. Plus money there.
I like that play. You and I got to play on the next fight at the women's flyweight division. Kong Wang taking on Bruna Brazil. Making Kong Wang another massive favorite after coming off, blowing her wad as a big favorite where she was dropped on the feet, back taken, hurt. She's already a girl that I feel like only has one way to win a fight. Grappling next to kind of none. I haven't really been any impressed with any type of offensive or defensive grappling. I feel like cardio-wise, you absolutely favor Bruna Brazil. Grappling, you got to favor Bruna Brazil. And she's kind of been a girl who's I feel like she's kind of gained some confidence a little bit lately. She looks a lot better than she did in that Denise Gomes fight where she's kind of coming forward. She's not scared of these girls who are going to wing big bombs on her. I kind of feel like she can kind of use some of her range, slow down the fight. I think she's a way better grappler. And at +380, I think is what we took the shot on. I was more than happy to let a half unit go on Bruna Brazil here. Kong Wang coming back after getting finished like that 2 months ago. Give me Bruna Brazil, man.
Yeah, when you show yourself to be that one-dimensional like Kong Wang did, it's hard to ever trust them at that type of price tag moving forward. You talked about Bruna Brazil kind of coming into her own lately. It kind of reminds me of Veronica Hardy, where pretty green coming into it, but she is kind of developing those skills. And, she's 31 years old now. So this is kind of where she's going to, start peaking, I think. And at least having a path to victory is a huge step in the right direction for her. And I do think that she has a clear one against Kong Wang here. So if I can see a clear path to victory at +380, I think that's an instant bet. I'm glad we're both on it. Move into the
+310 now, by the way. So
70 points of value also sounds pretty nice.
Big line move today.
Absolutely. Moving up to it's not even the prelim main event. So just another fight on the prelims in the lightweight division. Tom Nolan taking on Vladislav Borishev. Okay. First off, I think people are really quick to just completely mark off Borishev because he got knocked out dropped by Chase Hooper and then finished. I don't think that's the case, man. I think when you have a fighter that isn't going to threaten a takedown like Tom Nolan, and you got somebody in Vladislav Borochev who's a striking coach. He is a legitimate kickboxer.
Yeah.
I think that's a recipe for Vladislav to get another win under his belt, kind of move forward from. I know he got the split against Lon Top last time out, but kind of make the right step in his direction. Where I feel like Tom Nolan's kind of limited in what he can do. He's just bigger than most guys, and that works for him a lot of the time. But him being as hittable as he is, I do think that Voloslav's kind of the guy to find that chin. And you're getting a decent price tag because there's a ton of people who want to bet Tom Nolan. He's all the way down to plus 100 on a lot of books. Mm-hmm. And God forbid Slava Klaus become a favorite or become an underdog by Saturday, because I'll probably end up putting a unit on him. It's not my favorite bet, but I think that he's a better striker in a striking matchup. So, barring size, the size is the only issue with me. It's going to get sketchy early, but damn, let him settle in. Give me Borashev.
I 1,000% agree that where I feel like the fight's going to play out on the feet, Borashev's definitely the more technical guy there. I just, both of these guys have their issues. I feel like Tom Nolan defensively, not that clean. And for Borashev, I kind of feel like the chin is going a little bit, man. The Chase Hooper fight was not a good look, kind of getting dropped like that, coming off a war where he's getting a lot of damage, and then the Nazim Sadikov fight. And then just the kickboxing, background in general. I kind of feel like he's aging, and I just feel like a young, big guy lands on the chin. Could be night for him. But I kind of feel like it's easily going to be the other way around. So personally feel like it's a coin flip. I'm going to just sit back and enjoy this one because I think that's one of the more exciting fights on the card on this whole pay-per-view. Prelim main event, Jack Jenkins, Gabriel Santos. I think you have a little bit more interest in potentially looking at betting this fight than I do. I think Gabriel Santos is a little bit more technical on the feet, a little bit more intentional with the shots. And I do think there's a massive edge in the grappling if he wants to offensively grapple Jack Jenkins. But Jenkins is a guy who seems to find a way to win fights. He can kind of slow the pace down. He's got good calf kicks. I can't quite get the holes of grappling out of my head. I think Gabriel Santos is the better grappler, but I do think at home at plus 200, plus 190, if you're picking a side, if you're playing a side, it's the Jack Jenkins side without a doubt for me. I just feel like Gabriel Santos, when you can compete to a really hard-fought decision with Lerone Murphy, a guy who's clearly top 10 in the featherweight division, I think you can put together a game plan to get through Jack Jenkins. So not interested in laying the chalk, but I'm on Gabriel Santos here in the prelim main event.
So I've kind of cooled down a little bit on the Jack Jenkins side. I do think that there's potential for Jack to really pick up the pace late and kind of expose some gas tank issues for Santos, especially if Santos relies on that grappling and he's not able to keep Jack Jenkins down. Jenkins has a really solid base, and if he can continue to get back up and make Gabriel work, I think that there's a lot of potential for him to accumulate body shots and those calf kicks that you talked about to eventually kind of make Santos fold. But, there are a lot of things that Santos holds an advantage in, like you said. So it's tough to get all the way behind there. I might end up with a half unit on Jenkins, but it's certainly a dogger pass for me, just given the matchup. Moving on to the welterweight division, Jake Matthews taking on Francisco Prado. I don't know. This seems to be like the people's main event here, man. I've seen a lot of people betting on this fight. They're opening up the main card, so it's going to be a good one. I kind of lean Prado here, man. I think that if he can keep this fight on the feet, he can probably get Jake Matthews in some pretty tough situations in striking exchanges. Jake Matthews, I know it's been a few fights since he's gotten finished, or gotten stopped. But I just feel like this is he's not really developing how I want him to at this point in his career. Prado still has a lot ahead of him. If this wasn't at 170 pounds, this would be an instant Prado bet. But I am worried that he could be a little undersized here and that Jake Matthews can just kind of grind him against the fence. That being said, in those exchanges, I think Prado's got all the finishing upside. I think that he probably puts Jake on skates at least once in this fight. And I'm considering a Prado decision, no action bet, finish only. I think all the upside finish-wise is on him. But I expect this fight to probably go to decision.
I hope it goes to decision. I got a unit on the over 2.5 at minus 166. That same line is now minus 195. So it's taken a little bit of love. And that does make me nervous being the pay-per-view opener. That is a fight that, they typically try to set the pace for. And that's a bit worrisome when you're targeting the over. But Prado's a guy who's never been finished. I don't think I have to worry about him getting knocked out on the feet. And as far as his submission defense goes, I don't know if Jake Matthews is a guy I can really go out there and trust to put together a solid grappling game plan. And if he does get himself to grappling positions, I don't think he's going to submit Prado. I really don't. And then on the feet, I put in my tweet, I think a Prado KO is probably the only way I see this fight, or I don't want to say the only way, the majority of if there's a finish, that is the way I see it happen in Prado KO. But, Ottman Azaitar aside, I don't know if Prado's power is really translated to the UFC at the highest level, and now he's going up a weight class as well, fighting bigger guys. I think he throws excellent combinations, and he can really get in your face and tag you. But I'm not just sold on him having lights out power at the UFC. I do think he's young, improving, and if I were to bet a side, I think it's the Prado side as well, man. So if you do get there, best of luck to you. I hope it's a decision win for him, though. Moving on up, 205, the return of Jimmy the Brute Crute taking on Rodolfo Bellato. Yeah, man, just truth be told, I don't think Bellato's that good. I've seen his durability cracked a couple times. The Contender Series one being very bad against Vitor Petrino, and then, Ihor Poteria put him on skates a couple times, hurt him. I don't think Bellato is, truth be told, that good. I think Jimmy Crute is the much better fighter here. I think he's a much better offensive wrestler. I think he's a much better striker. It's all about where Jimmy Crute is at here. And if I was ever having to lay chalk on Jimmy Crute, I'd be absolutely keen to lay off. But when I see a plus 130, plus 135, 140, I think a unit on Jimmy Crute, something half unit Jimmy Crute inside the distance, even a KO or something, a plus 500. Because, Bellato, the Brazilian, I feel like he's got good submissions, but I feel like Jimmy Crute can hurt him on the feet, can get on top and ground and pound. So I like Jimmy Crute, man. You're gonna find me playing Jimmy Crute somehow this weekend. I hate that he's retired and come back, but I think this is a good fight for him to get a win, man.
Yeah, I think this is a Crute inside the distance or no bet. Bellato is not that good. He's getting juiced to an even higher favorite. If this was Jimmy versus Bellato in 2020, Jimmy's like minus 500. He's a heavy favorite. Some unfortunate run for him, but he's at light heavyweight, so there's a lot of variance there. I think he's the more skilled fighter, and he's at plus money. So maybe not get as greedy. Maybe a unit on Crute straight, and then 0.5 on the inside the distance, something like that might be how I'm looking to play it. But I do like Crute here. I think he's the better fighter.
Yeah.
Moving on to the heavyweight division, Taliesin Teixeira taking on Justin Tafa. Man, I'm just realizing I really didn't do much work for this. I saw Justin Tafa, and I'm just like, I know what he's about. I know what he's got to offer, and it's not that much. If Taliesin can get him down, I assume that he's going to win. And if he can't, Tafa's super dangerous. It's a low-level heavyweight fight. I wouldn't want to bet the juice. So, Tafa at plus money if I'm going to pick anything, but that's not a fight I'm looking to target.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned potentially getting on top of Tafa. I think that's a sneaky way to look at the fight, truth be told. I think Tafa's got clear deficiencies on the mat and has shown that time and time again. And you got a guy who's much bigger than him. If he can find a takedown plus 800 by sub, I think he could make quick work of Tafa on the mat, truth be told. Tafa, I do think, has potential to knock him out. I don't really like Teixeira's defense. we've seen guys like Vandera outpoint Tafa for 15 minutes at boxing range, but Teixeira doesn't really fight like that, man. He lets guys get on the inside. He swings bombs, but then again, Tafa's not a guy who really throws in combination to be able to get it on the inside. He's swinging bombs. And so I don't really know what's going to happen on this fight, but I did kind of think sneaky way to look at it is plus 800 Taliesin sub, because I feel like if he does find his way on top, he can make very easy work of him. So I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go Tafa at home, first round knockout. I think these guys have 14 wins and 14 wins inside round one. So I was kind of worried, kind of wondering why it was on the main card, but I think we probably get a finish pretty early here. It should be a good one. Now moving up to my favorite fight on the card, man, Zhang Weili taking on Tatiana Suarez. Said in the intro, one of the best fights you can make in the year of 2025. And I think we're going to be split on this one, man. I think I'm going to side with the champ, Zhang Weili. I think she's got the more tested cardio, one that I can definitely trust if this gets into the championship round, something I think she can lean on. I don't think Tatiana's fought a girl who's nearly as physical as someone like Zhang Weili. I also think Zhang Weili, without a doubt, is clearly the better striker here. To get a champion at plus money, it is very tempting and something I don't think I'm going to be able to lay off. On the side of Tatiana Suarez, I think this girl's a phenomenal fighter, and I don't know if there's another girl in the division that I would ever bet against her. Phenomenal fighter. I just think the best Tatiana Suarez was a couple years ago, man, and what I've seen from the return is still good things, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enough to dethrone the champ in Zhang Weili. So I think if I'm just going to be patient, the line's been all Tatiana Suarez, and if I can get any type of plus money on Zhang Weili come Saturday, I think I'm going to do it, man. So thank you leaning the other way, though.
Yeah, no, I've got Tatiana Suarez as my first pick in the fantasy draft and 2 units on her at plus money. And I feel pretty good about it, man. You talked about, maybe 4 years ago you'd want to bet Suarez. I would agree. I think 4 years ago she would have absolutely destroyed Zhang. And I think right now, barring any injuries, she just beats Zhang. Whether it be a submission in the first or second round or doing it over 5 rounds, I just think that she has the type of physicality and pressure to at least win 3 rounds on these judges' scorecards. And she's tough enough to ride out if it does get a little sketchy and she gasses out towards the end of it. Zhang, in her last fight, I thought that it showed a lot. That was the first time where she faced somebody, in my opinion, physical enough that also offered a takedown threat. You can also argue Carla Esparza, but Carla Esparza is more of a technical wrestler. She's just better because of her technique than most girls, where Tatiana has the technique and the physicality. Yanan Yan was able to get 3 takedowns on Wei Li. And I just feel like Tatiana is going to be able to do the exact same thing, except avoid a lot of the damage that Yan ended up taking. I looked down Wei Li's record, and the type of girls that she's been putting on these performances against, it's just a completely different matchup. Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas, Amanda Lemos. Those are just not girls that I can take much from to give an opinion against how she's going to perform on against Tatiana Suarez. Like I said before, barring an injury, I think Tatiana Suarez is the best fighter in the division, bar none, skill wise. It's just a matter of which Tatiana is going to show up on Saturday. So if she's half as good as she was 4 years ago, I think she's still going to get the dub here. So give me Tatiana Suarez. Thankfully, I don't have to bet. I got it at plus money. Yeah. Last week, I had to bet juice on Mike Davis, not knowing how he was going to come back off of a layoff, and it kind of bit me in the ass. So I'm okay with only 2 units here, and at least it was plus money, but I am on the Tatiana Suarez side. All right. Moving on to the main event in the middleweight division, Dricus du Plessis taking on Sean Strickland. First and foremost, Sean does have staph right there on his arm.
Plain as day.
What was that?
Plain as day.
Yeah. Oh, man. You can, and somebody had mentioned this on Twitter, and I don't know. It might have some truth to it. I think he purposefully wore that cutoff shirt in the press conference to kind of like subtly show people like, hey, this is why I'm, I might gas out, or this is a reason why I
get finished on Saturday.
Yeah, dude. I mean, for real, like there is some incentive for him to go ahead and lay that narrative if not enough people knew, and it was just the hardcore fans on Twitter. Now everybody knows because that thing was bright red and oozing pus on the freaking podium. I mean, it was crazy. So, it was a close fight, the first fight. I think, if Sean was 100% healthy and you ran it back, they're going to split it 50% of the time. With the staph infection, with Duplessis having multiple ways to mix it up by taking him down, landing the more powerful shots on the feet. I do get why he's the favorite. I like him at, maybe closer to opening odds, but now as he's getting up above 200, it's just a little ridiculous. I think, if Sean is half healthy and he can still go for five rounds, he can make this a really close fight. Not one that I'm looking to target, but if I were, I'd be looking Dricus Du Plessis, and I'd be looking for him to take advantage of the possible cardio holes that Sean has, having a big old staph infection on him.
Yeah, man, when you see how closely the first fight was, money line side, it's definitely Sean Strickland or pass. That's without a doubt. However, for all the reasons you mentioned, Dricus Du Plessis is still the one I would think would be a small favorite if I had to make one. Like you said, power upside, grappling upside, just championship aura, and once you get the belt, all the things that come with it and things. I think he's a justified favorite. Again, not like yourself, not a huge fan of it above minus 200 with how close it was. But I'm kind of thinking to target fight doesn't go the distance here. I know you love your middleweight unders. You're all the time playing them. But, we see time and time again where these rematches don't go the same way they did the first time. I hate how one-sided the finishing ability kind of feels in this fight. But for me to have 25 minutes at 185, guys got staph, a rematch that was close the first time where I just feel like it could play out much different, and I'm getting plus 130, plus 140 for the full 25 minutes. So I'm not extremely confident on a lot this week. I've got some small plays that I'm looking at, but I'm thinking half unit Zhang Weili plus money, half unit doesn't go the distance in the main event, and maybe looking to scrape out with a little profit there. But yeah, if I had to pick away, kind of leaning towards some violence in their rematch, but pick-wise, I'm going to side with Dricus Du Plessis to get this one done as well. Running through all 13 fights, as always. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're right back here next week for another, what I believe, 10 weeks in a row. So happy to be at it. Keep an eye on Twitter. Cards will be out later this week. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Peace.